my attempt to fulfill a promise, wherewith I had salespeople that reported to me who kept asking for a plan of action, a game plan that they could utilize to build their business, to build their careers, to fund their families. And one of the challenges that I wrestled with and that I had was that I had no plan for them. There was no template or roadmap that I could give a salesperson, someone who was willing to work for success, and that they could use and follow. And the fallout of that is that most people struggle and eventually fail, and they leave this industry, which is unfortunate because it gave me my shot. Imagine, I came from an industry where I was making what, 25,000, and they said I wasn't worth 26.5, to within the first 6 months of me being a selling professional, I made almost 50 grand, right? Within 6 months. Now, here's the reality. Anyone can do that if you have a plan. One of the challenges I have is that I came from the restaurant business. And from the restaurant business, I spent almost 20 grand to learn how to cook, right? And come to find out after I'm cooking that I hate cooking, right? Love cooking from the perspective that I could serve other people, but hated cooking from the perspective that I knew it couldn't provide my family with the lifestyle that I needed. And so for me, the reality of this industry when I first came to is that there was opportunity. The guy said, if you can't make $50,000 by December, don't bother to apply. That presumed that I could make $50,000 by December. Now, someone just got through telling me I couldn't make $26,000 a year. I wasn't worth $26,000 a year. And they told me I could make $50,000 in 6 months in the automotive industry at an Acura dealership. One of the most frustrating things for me when I first came into the industry is that there was, besides not having a plan, no one knew where to point me in any direction to get started. And so for me, I fell back on books. I used to spend all my money. Remember, in the times that I came up in, I had no money, zero money, right? And so I would spend money on, instead of buying lunch or food, I'd buy books or I'd buy tapes. I read everything I could possibly find, from Think and Grow Rich to Dale Carnegie, to Anthony Robbins, to Les Brown, you name it. Brian Tracy, anybody that would teach me anything about selling or success. I wanted to know. I was hungry. And so for me, my diet every day constituted very little food, lots and lots of books, lots and lots of tapes. In my car, I called my rolling university, and I was constantly had something going on. And so when it was time for me to manage salespeople, I would tell them that go do what I did. But the reality is that the commitment level to take all of that knowledge and to condense it and to synthesize it into something that they could use, they didn't have the discipline to do that, nor I had the time to do it either because I was always on the floor. Most managers or most business professionals within this industry don't read. They don't spend time reading. They don't spend time in develop or diving into personal development strategies. And as a byproduct of that, the mindset or the knowledge that they utilize to build their businesses daily come from what they've learned from someone else within this business model. And in addition to that, not many new ideas come into this business model to be able to impact change. It took me a while, but I finally realized that success is easy, really easy. Once you have some really fundamental principles down, the core skill sets down, the requirements for how to leverage relationships, communicate effectively. When I got that stuff down, I realized that success was easy. So when my people would come to me from time to time and we would work on what they were doing, why they were struggling, and I would try to counsel them with what knowledge I had, what kept coming up was that they believed that I was something special, that I had some secret formula to succeed. And the challenge for me as a manager was that I had, 14, 15 guys at some point, I think 17 salespeople at one point, I think maybe, reporting to me. And so I had very little time to work with all these individuals. And so I knew that my success was dependent upon them acquiring the knowledge quickly, or I had to find someone to replace them. And that my employee base was a constant revolving door. Maybe like some of you guys. Maybe you're one of those guys who found yourself going through the door. And for me, the most difficult part was understanding that I didn't have a strategy to make them better. I couldn't say, do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could only say, keep doing what you're doing, right? Or become more aggressive, or to make sure you get more phone-ups, or stay on the lot, or something. I won't use that word. What I'm saying to you is, what we had to give them, the more I travel today, in 2013, I find that the language still hasn't changed. Keep doing what you're doing, right? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me. One of the most heart-wrenching things I've ever had to endure was when a salesperson came up to me as a sales manager, and he would ask me, hey, listen, Kurtis, I heard that you're good, right? And so what can I do to become better? And at the time, I had nothing to give him. It was difficult for me because how can I be the manager, the person that he looked to for answers, for me to look at this guy and say, hey, listen, you know what, you should keep doing what you're doing. And the guy's saying, but I'm struggling. I'm like, well, become more aggressive. Or like they told me, be more aggressive, take more ups and so forth. And I felt humbled that I could not give him a tangible action plan that he could use to build his business and succeed. And I thought that was inexcusable. And I didn't want that to happen again. So I realized that the fact that people are still out there, still thinking that success lies in some secret formula, or success lies in someone saying do this or do that. I realize that there's some still people out there that believe that. And for me, the reason why this book was important to put out was that I know that managers are busy. I know that salespeople are supposed to be busy. I realize that there's no way I'm going to get a manager to train. It's not going to happen. Managers cannot train. They're not trainers. They don't have time. They have 50 billion things to do. So this project was about finding a way to bridge the gap, finding a process, developing a process that managers could give to a salesperson like I needed something to give my people that they could implement and then manage that process, and the salesperson can follow it. And the structure of the strategies that were in this book was that that person would follow a blueprint, the yellow brick road to success, right? And if they followed the path, enough instructions within this book that they would get every single thing they needed to know and learn in order to be successful. That's critically important because the dealership doesn't stop. The customer's always going to come. But there are cracks of time that exist. And within those cracks of times, a lot of things can be accomplished. I wrote the Sales Professional Blueprint because I wanted it to be able to be a tool that I could give, or any manager for a matter of fact, could give a salesperson that once they gave it to them, even if the manager was not able to circle the wagon, which is inexcusable by itself, but even if they couldn't circle the wagon, there was enough information in this strategy, in this book, in this process that it was connected to, that person could take the knowledge, build their business, and succeed. Now, the approach that I took actually when I wrote this book and developed the process, in that this book is connected to within the Success Academy, is that I had to take into account the demographics, the psychographics of the learner that we are dealing with, the adult learner perspective, the fact that the educational background varies dramatically. Most of the professionals within our space don't have a post-college degree, and so they don't have access to some of the on-the-shelf content without sifting through a ton of junk to get to what they really need. So I had to make sure that I took into account the demographics, the psychographics, the learning styles, the social styles, the human relationship, for lack of a better phrase, the current skill sets that most other professionals have in this space. And in so doing, the book and the content had to be written so that anyone, regardless of their skill level, could pick it up, open the book, and follow the yellow brick road. It had to be so simple. Because within the dealership model, I said earlier, it doesn't stop. And so because of the amount of downtime, right, that a salesperson have, and the use of tablets now, and the use of smartphones, right, and computers, and the phone, we need to develop the curriculum and the content in such a granular nature, segmented, small bite-sized pieces, that once you start adding them up, when you're done, you get this very complex and comprehensive training curriculum that almost seemed too easy, right, as you're going through it. But it's powerful. The key element behind this book is that it's meant to take the individual from the beginning and provide them with the step-by-step strategy they need in order to succeed as a selling professional in the automotive industry or any other industry. Because we're going to take them from the beginning. provide them with the core foundation, and give them the reasons and the rationale, and then the tutelage, and then the counseling, and then the interaction, and then the support to be able to start at the beginning. And by the time they get at the end, they'll not only understand why they're in this business, but they also know what they need to do to succeed, what they need to do to sustain their success, and more importantly, they'll have the belief that they can do it. And that was what I wanted to be able to give that person that came to me so long ago and asked me, hey Kurtis, what can I do to take my game to the next level? And I didn't have an answer for him. The awesomeness of being a sales manager, a manager in this business model, is that you get very little training to begin with to become a sales professional, but more importantly, to become a management professional. And so this had to be taken into account when developing this curriculum, this book, writing this book and this training program, because I need to create something that I could say to you, manage this process. See these steps? If they do these things, then you will be able to get the most out of your people. This is the essence of managing a process versus trying to manage a person. And that's something that most of our managers are finally coming around to understanding, that they can't achieve or produce sustainable results without doing that. Think of K-Method as a blueprint that you hand to a construction foreman for how to build the perfect salesperson, a super salesperson. And if you follow this blueprint, the end result is predetermined. So the good news about managing a process versus trying to manage a person is that when you understand that these are strategies, right? These are systems, these are processes that your people are learning. They're learning business development strategies, customer relationship management strategies. They're learning how to leverage CRM technology, learning human relationship skill sets, communication skill sets, learning how to dress for success. They're learning how to be effective on the phone. They're learning how to negotiate effectively. They're learning all these things as individual content and courses, but then when you stitch them together, you have a formula for being effective working with your clients on the showroom floor, developing your own leads, and maintaining the relationships during long and short selling cycles. And they also have the ability to bring them all the way back again to buy again, repeat and referral business. The good news is that these are processes and strategies that as a management professional you can manage. This is the roadmap, the actual blueprint, that once you've implemented, you will have control as to the quality and the effectiveness of those under your charge to help them get to the next level and also make you a ton of money. Imagine having a treasure map that would provide you with the directions to where the gold is buried. And the gold is ultimate success for your professional career, right? Ultimate financial success based on your commitment to yourself, how hard you want to work. But if you follow these steps and you take these courses, you're going to learn exactly what you need to do to become successful. Imagine having that type of blueprint, and that's what this book is for anyone willing to commit to their own personal success. If you follow the strategies outlined in this book, and if you literally take the courses and then execute it on a daily basis in your dealerships, in your business, off the chart. Your success is a foregone conclusion. The only thing you have to debate with is, are you willing to commit to what it takes to succeed for you? That's it.